one call away. I'll be there to save the day. Superman got nothing on me. I'm only one call away. Call me baby if you need a friend. I just wanna give you love. Come on, come on, come on. Reaching out to you, so take a chance. No matter where you go, you know you're not alone. I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save the day. Superman got nothing on me. I'm only one call away. Come along with me and don't be scared. I just want to set you free. Come on, come on, come on. You and me can make it anywhere. And now we can stay here for a while. Hey, just you know, I just want to see you smile. No matter where you go, you know you're not alone. I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save the day. Superman got nothing on me. I'm only one call away. And when you're weak, I'll be strong. I'm gonna keep holding on. Now don't you worry, won't be long, darling. And when you feel like hope is gone, just run into my arms. I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save the day. Superman got nothing on me. I'm only one. I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save the day. Superman got nothing on me. I'm only one call away. I'm only one call away.
All right, all right. Good and great morning, everyone. It is Monday. It is February 15th, 2021, and we are on day 112. Wow, that's a lot of days. We are already on day 112, and I'm super excited that you are here. And it's a different day because Mr. Moultrie is absent. However, we still have our school, we still have our lessons to do, and we still have a normal school day. And so please make sure you are paying attention and you are listening and you are participating, even though we are not exactly live. We really want to make sure we still get all of our work done. And then we will continue to have a great class. All right. And so the first thing we want to do, of course, is we want to do our morning roll call, just like we always do. All right. And so I'm going to call your name and you can say present, you can say here, you can say hey from exactly where you're at. You don't have to come off of mute or anything like that. All right. And so we have Miss Arohi, we have Mr. Jacoby, we have Mr. Jaheem, we have Mr. Lamari, we have Miss Kaylee, we have Mr. Alex, we have Miss Gabby, we have Mr. Dean, we have Mr. Anton, we have Mr. Isaiah, we have Miss Gianna, we have Miss Janelle, we have Mr. Nazir, we have Mr. Jonathan, and Jonathan's birthday is coming up soon. Shout out to you, Jonathan. We have Mr. Jaco, we have Mr. Darwin, we have Miss Chloe, We have Mr. Emery. We have Miss Alea. We have Miss Asia. And last but not least, we have Miss Olivia. And so, thank you, all of you for tuning in to class today. And we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to jump right into it. All right. Great, great, great. And so, our theme for this week, of course, is dinosaurs. And so, we've been talking about dinosaurs a whole lot. And Mr. Moultrie thought it was going to be an excellent idea to turn our classroom this week into a jungle dinosaur T Rex time. And so, I hope you guys enjoy all of the dinosaurs that you're going to see throughout our lessons this week. So, our morning meeting question says, draw a quick picture of your Valentine. Now, your Valentine can be your mom, your dad, your best friend, your sister, your brother. And so, whoever you had a Valentine with, I want you to show me your picture. So, hold up your picture. Hold up your quick picture of your Valentine. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful job. You guys have done an amazing job with these Valentine pictures, all right? If you did not get a chance to do it, please make sure you are always looking at our screen for our morning meeting question and see if you have to do anything, whether you have to think about something or whether you have to write something down or draw something. Tomorrow, we are going to have another quick drawing activity for our morning meeting question. And so please make sure every time you log in, you are paying attention to our board, all right? Again, today is day 112. It is Monday. It is February 15th, 2021. So we already have done our morning roll call, so let's go over our superhero rules. Now, again, it is going to look a little different today simply because we are not exactly on Zoom live and in session. However, the same rules still apply for the most part. Number one, you want to be respectful. So be respectful of anyone around you. If you have anyone around you that is on Zoom and that they are in class as well, be respectful and go to another room. Make sure it's quiet. We don't have to come off of our computer mics today, but you do want to find a nice, well lit, quiet place to come to class and work. You always want to have a nice, good place to work because you're able to always focus. Make sure if you have any questions or if you're asking mom or dad or anyone helping you questions, make sure it's appropriate. And even still, even though we're not on Zoom, you should not have any pets, brothers or sisters, toys, TV, music, food, or drinks. No bathroom breaks until it is bathroom break time. While Mr. Moultrie is teaching, there should be no distractions at all. You should never randomly leave the classroom or get up while class is in session. Make sure we can see your face the entire morning call, but this doesn't really apply to today. And you always want to have a positive attitude and let's make virtual learning fun, all right? So on that note, let's go ahead and watch our rules of the digital classroom.
Would you like something to eat? No, thank you. I'm doing my schoolwork. My turn to speak. My turn to speak. My
right. So it is now time for our language arts lesson. And so what you all are going to need today for our language arts lesson, you will need your stories that we wrote last week. You will need your narrative stories that we wrote last week. And so if you do not have your notebook that you wrote your sentences and your paragraphs on, please go ahead and get that. And we're going to take 1 minute to do so. Go. All right. So right now you should have your books, your notebooks ready to go for today's lesson. Please make sure you also have a pencil. Please make sure you also have a pencil. All right. And so for our learning target for today, it says I can make improvements to my narrative using the revising and editing checklist. Now, we use the revising and editing checklist in lesson 9 to improve on our Holly narratives. Now, why do we use the revising and narrative checklist? What I want you to do, silent solo, is to go ahead and talk to your hand. Talk to your hand, and I want you to tell me, why do we use the revising and editing checklist? Think about it. 30 seconds, silent solo, go. Good job, ladies and gentlemen. And so we have to use the revising and editing checklist because it's going to help make our writing so much better. When we look at that list, we are able to tell what we need to have in our narratives, whether it's a capital letter, whether it's a period at the end. So whatever it is, it will tell us what we need to do in our in our actual narratives. And so I see a word here that is in a box. What word is that? Let's take a look. Let's break that word down. Hmm. Improve. Improve. Improvements. Improvements. I'll do that again. Improvements. Improvements. I'll do it one more time. Improvements. Improvements. Good job. Now, with this word improvements, what word do we see that looks familiar? What word do we see that looks familiar? And I'm going to take my red drawing pencil. What word do we see? Can someone go ahead and yell it out for us? What word do we see? That's right. We see improve. I just highlighted it. We just seen improve. Now, do you know, what does the word improve mean? What does the word improve mean? Hmm. Think about that. 30 seconds. What does the word improve mean? Hmm. Go ahead. You can say it to your hand. Go. Good. Mr. Moultrie also made sure that he was showing us a great example of how to talk to our hand. Now, improve means to make something better. We want to make whatever it is that we are improving better. All right. And so, if we know what improve means, then what does improvement mean? Hmm. What does the word improvement mean? Think about that. All right, here we go. Silent solo. Go ahead and talk to your hand. Go. Good. And so we want to make changes to something that we already did to make it better. Kind of like what improve already means. All right. So if we take a look at this learning target one more time, it says I can make improvements to my narrative using the revising and editing checklist. And so we want to make something better. And that something is going to be our narrative. Now, you guys have used the narrative planner to organize ideas for writing before, and you have drafted a narrative in your narrative booklet. So you guys should have written 3 different narratives, all right? The first one we did as a group or, as a group so we can know what a narrative is. The second one you did on your own. And the third one, we really took our time breaking down what it is our narrative had to consist of. All right, let's go on. So here we have our checklist. We have our checklist here. Can we get all of Mr. Moultrie's superheroes to read every single revising checklist checklist action that we have? Let's start off with our first one. And our first one, which is right here, says, I included actions I took to find the fossil and what the fossil looked like. I included actions I took to find the fossil and what the fossil looked like. Our next one says, I included details to show what I thought and how I felt when I discovered the fossil. I included details to show that what I thought and how I felt when I discovered the fossil. Our next word or checklist item says, I included actions I took after I found the fossil. I included actions I took after I found the fossil. And our last one says, I included temporal words that show the order of events, then suddenly. All right. So when we are revising, that means we are going to change something. When we're editing something, we are also changing it. So revising and editing, we both want to make these changes, but we really focused on revising first. All right. Now let's look at our editing checklist. Our editing checklist says, I used irregular past tense verbs correctly. Saw and ran, those are just examples. My sentences start with a capital letter. That is very, very important. You always have to start off with the capital letter. My sentences end with the correct punctuation. That's very important as well, because if you don't end it, then they'll just go on forever, never, 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 never. All right. And we do not have to worry about our last bullet point. And so if you look over to your left, you have the criteria for a compelling narrative about discovering a fossil. So we have talked about these criteria for a while now. It's actually been a couple weeks. And so you should really be familiar with them. But these are just basically the same things as we have talked about in our checklist. All right. And so we are going to follow the same process for revising and editing what we did in lesson 9 with our narratives about Holly. So we're going to be doing the same thing. Over the past few days, we have been working on including particular criteria for our narratives about discovering a fossil. And we've been working really hard. We've been talking with each other. I have been talking with you guys. Parents have been helping you guys come up with the best narrative possible. And now we are going to revise them, just like we did in lesson 9. And so, what we want to do now is I want you to turn to your first paragraph. Please turn to your first paragraph. Go ahead and turn to your first paragraph, and that is going to be the beginning. The beginning. All right, let's look at what we are doing first. So number one, I want you to read through, not read through your teacher feedback because Mr. Moultrie is here. We haven't seen each other, right? But I want you to read through your entire paragraph. Please read through the entire paragraph, only your beginning one. Go, read through it right now. You can go ahead. Right now, you should be reading through your entire first paragraph. You have 1 minute, 1 minute left. Thirty seconds. All right. So now what I want you to do, Mr. Moultrie has circled a couple bullet points from our revising and editing checklist. And those are the first things that we want to focus on. So the first thing I circled says, I included temporal words that show the order of events. Now remember those temporal words. Those temporal words are like first, then, suddenly, last. All right, so let's see if we can go back a couple slides to see if we can focus. There we go. So if you can look at the bottom of your screen on the left-hand side, these are some temporal words. Immediately, then, at first, suddenly, afterwards, later, next, finally, last, and before long. So what I want you to do now is look through your first paragraph only. Don't look at any other paragraph yet. Look at your first paragraph only. And then I want you to see if you have any temporal words there. If you have temporal words, then you're awesome, you're great. Then you just hold on tight. But if you do not have any temporal words, then go ahead and think about some temporal words that you can put in there. And then what I want you to do is cross out the word that you use and add in a temporal word. I'll give you guys 2 minutes to do so. I think 2 minutes is enough time. 2 minutes to read through your first paragraph again and see if you used any temporal words. If not, I want you to go back and include at least one temporal word. At least one temporal word. Go. You guys have about 1 minute left. All right. Now, what I want you guys to do is I want you to look at the first bullet point for editing. It says I used irregular past tense verbs correctly, like I saw, or I ran, or I jumped. So basically, what you want to do is just tell us something that happened in the past. So you can say, I ran to the mailbox. That means you ran to the mailbox in the past. Or I saw a dinosaur. That means you saw a dinosaur in the past. So use an irregular past tense verb, something that happened in the past. And Mr. Moultrie is actually going to help you out a little bit. Let's exit this, and I will make this a little bit bigger just so we can see some of those irregular past tense verbs. How does that sound? I like that plan as well. All right, so it might be just a little small, but it is a little better. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right. And so irregular past tense verbs. We want to look at the blue-green column. Let's call that a blue. Look at the blue column. You are looking for irregular past tense verbs, something that has already happened. So look in these columns, only the blue columns, and see if you used any of those words. If not, you know what Mr. Moultrie wants you to do. I want you to go back, cross out the word that you think can replace it, and put the new irregular past tense verb in. 'I hope you all are finding some really good irregular past tense verbs. 'All right, I'll give you guys about 1 more minute. 1 more minute to see about these past tense verbs. 1 more minute. 30 seconds. All right, good stuff. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to read your entire paragraph out loud. Only with the things that you have so far. Read it out loud, and I want you to think, does this sound better or does this sound worse? All right. If it does not sound any better, then that means you have to go back and revise your paragraph. You want your paragraph to sound smooth, easy. You don't want anything to be choppy or anything that sounds weird. Okay. You want to make sure your paragraph makes sense and we understand as the reader what you are talking about. Take 30 more seconds to go ahead and listen to yourself. Listen as you read. Does my paragraph make sense or does it not make sense? All right, 30 more seconds. All right, good stuff. Let's continue to work on our revising piece. All right, we want to make some more improvements. So, number one, I included actions I took to find the fossil and what the fossil looked like. I included actions I took to find the fossil and what the fossil looked like. That should be in your beginning section of your story. That should be in the beginning section of your story. So please go ahead and look for the actions you took to find the fossil and what the fossil looked like. Now, what I want you to do, once you find those things, once you find the action, and actions are verbs, and verbs are something like jumping or swinging or playing, those are actions. So, what actions did you take? So, once you find those actions, I want you to put a star next to it, a small star. Just give me a tiny star once you find it. Then I want you to put a small star next to what the fossil looked like. What the fossil looked like. Please put a star next to what the fossil looked like. What did you say it looked like? All right. Now I want us to look at our editing side. Look at the editing side. Now, we already should have done our irregular past tense verbs. Now, I want to make sure, does your sentence start with a capital letter? Does every single sentence in your paragraph start with a capital letter? I want you to go ahead and look and see if they do now. Go ahead and look and see if your sentences start with a capital letter. And while you're looking at that, go ahead and see if your sentences end with the correct punctuation. And we're either looking for exclamation points or we're looking for periods. Exclamation points or periods. All right. And so now you should have the perfect sentence. You should have the perfect sentence. Oh, I'm sorry, perfect paragraph, I should say. You should have the perfect paragraph. So, what I want you to do is I want you to read through your paragraph. Go. You guys are doing a really good job so far in class. Really good job. Thank you so much for reading your great paragraphs. All right, so if we look at this example on the screen, it is an example of a paragraph from our ending. However, we're looking at our beginning, so that's all right. But if you can see on the screen, we have we have inserted temporal words. That's the first thing we did. Remember that? We inserted temporal words. And this is how our friend inserted his temporal words. So his paragraph reads, I ran as fast as I could to get to the aquarium. I was out of breath when I finally got into town. Please come help me, I said. I found a huge fossil. Before long, the entire town was shocked by my discovery. And so he inserted those temporal words. I see that he has a capital letter for every sentence in the beginning, and he has the correct punctuation. So this looks like a really good paragraph. What do you think? Thumbs up? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir, kings and queens. Thumbs up. Good job. And so you just completed your first paragraph revisions and edits. And you did a really good job. Now we want to move on to paragraph number 2. And paragraph number 2 will be our first middle section. Our first middle section. And so let's look back at our revising and editing form. Let's look back at our revising and editing form. The first thing we did, remember, was we looked at our paragraph for temporal words. So what I want you to do is to turn your page to your second paragraph. Your second paragraph that we did in class. And you are going to be looking at if you included temporal words. If you included temporal words, you got it, rock star. Good job. If you did not include your temporal words, you still did a good job. However, we want to add those words. You can either cross out some words that don't belong in your paragraph, or you can insert them, just like our friend did on the last slide. So go ahead, and I want you to take about 2 minutes to include those temporal words if you did not. And I want you to include at least this time 2 temporal words. At least 2 temporal words. 2 minutes, go. All right, let's get about 30 seconds left. All right, let's come back to class. All right, so we just included our temporal words. Now, just like we did for our beginning paragraph, I want you to use irregular past tense verbs correctly. And so I'm going to put that list back up. And you need to include some of these words in your paragraph as well. Now, Mr. Moultrie doesn't want to give you a specific number on how many words you should use because it's just going to depend on what your paragraph is talking about. And so I want you to take another 2 minutes and look for irregular past tense verbs. And if you don't have any, I want you to add some, okay? Take 2 minutes, go. All right, let's take 1 more minute. All right, take 30 seconds. All right, here we go. Now, I know everyone has included some of those good temporal words. All right, let's look at some of our edits. Now, the next thing I want you guys to do, we're going to take it back to our revising section. Now, I want you to make sure you include details to show what you thought and how you felt when you discovered your fossil. Tell me what you thought and how you felt when you discovered your fossil. Now, that should already be in your paragraph. That should definitely be in there. Go ahead. You should be looking to see if you make sure you have your details to show what you thought and how you felt. All right, good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's go to our editing section. Just like normal, I want your sentences to start off with a capital letter. Go ahead and make sure your sentences start off with a capital letter, every single sentence. Next, I want you to make sure your sentences end with correct punctuation. All right, so at this point, both your beginning and your first middle paragraph, those should be perfect paragraphs because now you've revised them, now you edited them, and so all of those edits should look nice and neat. And so what we are going to be doing tomorrow, we are going to be going through our second middle, and we are going to be going through our ending. All right, we're going to be going through the same checklist to make sure everything is nice and correct. All right, ladies and gentlemen, good job. You can close your notebooks and put those away. You can go ahead and close your notebooks and put those away. All right, so we are going to have our Black History lesson for today, all right? Go ahead and pay attention to the screen.
A man who was known in history for an invention that helped the railroad industry travel farther, and also a nickname that let people know his invention was real and authentic. Stay tuned for more as we share interesting facts from the biography of African American inventor Elijah McCoy. The life of Elijah J. McCoy began on May 2nd, 1843, in Colchester, Ontario, Canada. If you are thinking, why was he born in Canada? I've got the answer. That is because Elijah McCoy's parents fled from slavery in the United States using the Underground Railroad made famous in history by Harriet Tubman to escape to Canada. In school today, being involved in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, would have been interesting for Elijah McCoy. The reason I say that is as a young boy, after McCoy's family returned to the United States, they settled in Michigan, where McCoy later traveled to Scotland at the age of 15 to study mechanical engineering. During Elijah McCoy's time there overseas, he completed an apprenticeship in mechanical engineering in Edinburgh, Scotland. Sadly, when Elijah returned to the United States, even though he had a great education, he experienced racism. That is where he wasn't allowed to go into the field of engineering employment because of being of African American descent. After being rejected from employment, that actually was a blessing in disguise because Elijah would take a job as a railroad fireman for the Michigan Central Railroad. Who knew not being able to find a job in his field of study would lead McCoy to changing history? That is because a big part of McCoy's duties as a fireman was frequently oiling the trains so that they would not stop during travel. That is where Elijah McCoy put his mind to work to create an automatic lubricator for trains. His automatic lubricator allowed trains to continue traveling while his invention spread oil all over a train's engine. Elijah McCoy's device became so popular that you had others trying to copy what he invented. The problem is, their attempts to steal his idea didn't work, causing railway engineers to request what they called the real McCoy, which was McCoy's automatic lubricator and not the copycats. The life of Elijah McCoy came to an end on October 10th, 1929, cementing a legacy as a pioneer in the concept of continuous lubrication for moving parts and engines. The life of Elijah J. McCoy was a symbol of excellence, just like others from history, like you're seeing here on the screen. Take a moment to continue learning history with us here. And for more cartoons like this, you can also subscribe to our channel, clicking the thumbs up to get instant alerts when we release new videos.
All right. Such a great Black history lesson on one of the world's amazing inventors. All right. We are here at our shake break. It's shake break time. Woo! It's shake break time. All right. So I want you to stand up and get ready for the Cotton Eye Joe.
If it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? If it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? If it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? If it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? But I've been Cotton Eye Joe. I've been married long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
All right, let's do our bathroom break. All right, everyone should be back. We all should be back and ready to start math. All right, so I want everyone to turn to page 441. 441. Please turn to page 441. When you have it, say got it. 441. All right, so the solve and share says use place value blocks to find 243 plus 354. Tell which place value you added first and why. Then draw a picture to show your work. And so What we want you to do is to take 3 minutes. Yes, take 3 minutes, silent solo, and go ahead and figure out this problem. Then when we come back, we will do it all together. So take 3 minutes on page number 441 and solve this problem. Go. Two minutes. Take 1 minute. 1 minute left. Thirty seconds. All right, so let's go ahead and do this problem together. And so it says use place value blocks to find 243 plus 354. Tell which place value you added first and why. Then draw a picture to show your work. So the first thing we have to do is we have to know what our place values are. So I want you guys to shout out, what is this place value right here? You are correct. It is the hundreds place. What is the middle place value? The middle. Our tens place. Good. And our last but not least, we have our ones place. Good job. So we have our tens or hundreds place, our tens place, and our ones place. Let's show our hundreds place first. Let's put 243 at the top and 354 at the bottom. 243, we represent that by two big blocks, correct? Two big 100s, hundreds blocks. That satisfies the two, so we can cross the two out. What about for 354? We need three big blocks. 1, 2, 3. Now we just did our 3 for 354. All right. Everyone following? Good. Then we have to have our tens place. And we can represent our tens place by lines. So our 4 means we need to have 4 lines, which equals up to 40. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can cross that out. On the 354, we are going to do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, ladies and gentlemen, almost there. Now we have our ones. On our 243, we have 3. We can do those by circles. 1, 2, 3. Then for our next one, we have 4 individual small ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so now we have a whole bunch of lines and squares and circles. Now let's put them together to see if we can come up with a number. So if we have 300 blocks down here and 200 blocks up here, if we add them together, what number will that be? You are absolutely correct. We are going to have 5 squares, which will equal up to 500. All right? So we can actually erase this number and this number because now both of these will equal up to 5. So let's write that number there, 5. And that stands for 500. Now, how many tens do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. And Mr. Moultrie just counted them twice just to make sure he was correct. So we have 590. Let's see if when we add the rest of them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 597. Therefore, 597 will be your final answer. All right, 597. So go ahead and take 1 minute to copy this down if you do not have it. $30. All right, let's go ahead and clear the board and let's move on. And so just like what we did, here's an example. We did exactly what we did here. We did the hundreds blocks, the tens blocks, and the ones. Then guess what? We combine them. We put them together and we realize that we can make a total number. And so I want you to go ahead and do this example here. And you're not going to use Mr. Moultrie first, you're going to use your brain. We're not using mental math, we are using our place value blocks. Go ahead and take 3 minutes to find 238 plus 126. And then as soon as you come back, you will do it with Mr. Moultrie. 3 minutes. Go ahead and take 2 minutes. Take 1 more minute. 1 more minute. All right, here we go. And so it says use place value blocks to find 238 plus 126. And so we have 200 blocks and 100 block. Then we have our 3 10s. Then we have our 2 10s. Then we have our 8 1s. Then we have our 6 1s. When we join them together, we make 300s. We make 5 10s. Then we make 14 1s. But we can add a 10 by combining 10 of the individual blocks. And that would give us 300s, 6 10s, and 4 1s. Therefore, we have 364. 364. Let's take a look at our visual learning bridge.
Find 238 plus 126. You can show each addend with place value blocks. 238 is 2 hundreds, 3 tens, and 8 ones. 126 is 100, 2 tens, and 6 ones. Join the hundreds. 2 hundreds plus 100 equals 3 hundreds. Join the tens. 3 tens plus 2 tens equals 5 tens. Finally, join the ones. 8 ones plus 6 ones equals 14 ones. How can you regroup 14 ones into tens and ones? Select your answer. Regroup 10 ones as 1 10. 14 ones is 1 10 and 4 ones. Now you have 3 hundreds or 300, 6 tens or 60, and 4 ones or 4. So 238 plus 126 equals 364.
All right, so we are finally at the end of our class, but first we have to do our convince me. And so our convince me says, are the tens regrouped in the example above? And that is this example that we did for our practice. So are these tens regrouped? Can they be regrouped? And we actually already answered that, and that answer is yes, because you can take 10 single blocks and combine them to make a 10. You can make 10 single blocks, combine them to make 110. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so for your classwork today, you're going to be in your math workbook, page 442. For your homework, you're going to do page 443 through 444. For your Learn Zillion homework or your language arts homework, I want you to go back and look over paragraph 1 and paragraph 2 to make sure all of your edits are correct. Play your dream box and read your 2 epic books. And of course, we have our specials today that is going to be art. All right. Also, for small groups will happen between 1 to 1:30. You are only going to come to small groups if you have any questions about any math or language arts. You are not going to be logging on to this Zoom, but I will be sending out, or I have already sent out by this time, the Zoom link that you are going to go on to see if you need help. It is not mandatory. It is not required. Only if you need help. Miss Newton will be on her Zoom answering your questions because Mr. Moultrie is absent today. Okay? And so your parents will have all of that information. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you did an amazing, amazing job today. Thank you for staying with us. And I will definitely see you all tomorrow, bright and early at our online virtual school, back on our normal Zoom. All right. I'll see you guys later. Love you guys so much. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.